Alright, so working on the Subaru again today, and I need a coolant reservoir. So, I got a piece of tube. I'm gonna make my own. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it right there. Because this line right here is the feed for it, and it goes right there, so it makes perfect sense. Right? Perfect sense. Put it right there. So, we're gonna make one. Okay, I think I've got it. I came up with a couple little things here. I got a old AN line I get down locally, and it had a cap on it. So I'm like, all right, perfect, I got a cap. 25 bucks, can't beat that. Anyways, it's like a $150 thing. Anyways, I got some dimple dies here. I found a little piece of scrap aluminum. So I think I'm gonna dimple die a piece without cutting a hole through it. So I'll show you how to do that. And that'll be my top and bottom cap for this. Weld those onto this. I'm gonna cut this off and weld this guy onto the top of one of the dimple dyed things. And then I gotta run, this is the factory hose that goes into the bottom of the factory coolant reservoir. And that will also determine how long this thing is. So I'll put that through the middle of this guy, I think. It'll be a real... Alright, we're gonna do some arts and crafts, and probably this is not recommended how they would do it usually, but yeah, I think this will work, so I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna basically take these dimple dies, you can kind of see that's what it's gonna make, and I'm gonna hot glue them to their backers, and then what I'll do is I'll hot glue this part right here to the face of the aluminum. And what I'll do is I'll center my hole right here with this little dent I've made. So it'll sit right in the middle. I'll glue it on both sides, and that way it won't shift on me. And then I'll put it in my vise, clamp it together, and hopefully the things will line up and we'll have a nice dimple without having to weld the hole back up. I guess I'll only need one of those because I could weld that fitting to the one of them. Alright, that's what it is. I hot glued them so that we can it can just be popped back off, so it's nothing permanent. It just needs to be just enough to where it's not going to move around a little bit until I put it in the vise. Once it's in the vise, it ain't going to move. Alright, let's see if this works. I've honestly never done this before, so this could absolutely just shatter these plastic dimple dies. I'll get back to you. Well, I gotta say the tools are pretty robust, but it's sheared right through the aluminum, so that's not gonna work. Well, it made a nice dimple die. I didn't know that these could be shearing dimple dies, but so that's not gonna work. Usually you cut that hole out in the middle there and then dimple die it, and it's really easy on the tool because the hole's not already there, but with the hole with the hole not cut, it just wants to shear. And if you do it enough, that'll definitely hurt the tool. Like I said though, I'm pretty impressed with these. I got a whole set of them, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 different sizes for like 50 bucks. Usually dimple die sets are like $400. So plastic ones, I mean, they'll work for sheet metal, what I play with. I'd say if you're getting into some plate when you're doing like roll cage stuff, it'd probably be better to go with metal ones. But for sheet metal, spend 60 bucks. So now I gotta figure out a different way to do that. I might have to weld the hole shut. Really don't want to, but I've got another idea. Okay, I got my idea. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a big old socket. I'm gonna put a bolt with a washer on it, and I'm gonna put that over that. So now I got a big hole. And then what I'll do is these washers, noted, are just smaller than the inside of the socket. So we'll put our sheet metal on there, and then we'll put those 2 washers on there, a nut, and then we'll tighten the nut, and in theory, it'll pull the sheet metal, all of the sheet metal it needs, it'll pull down into this hole nice and evenly. With this, it didn't have any metal to pull, so it just cut. Because it's gonna pull what it needs, it'll just go right down in. I gotta center that in there. That can't be off center or else that won't work. So I'm gonna do wrap tape around the bolt and that'll get us in the ballpark. That should work. Good enough for the girls I date. Okay, we're all set up. Get the back down there. Let's see. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I gotta say, that's probably the most use I've got out of this 1.5 inch socket. And it's pretty good. It looks pretty good. Gotta say, just a little hole I gotta clean up. That'll work pretty nice, I think. Even kind of a cool little texture with the teeth. Alright, so draw it around, cut that out, weld it on. Now, I'm curious, I think I'm going to want to have it in. That I think looks cool. Out. I don't know. Maybe out. Out, yeah, probably out. I think that'll work. Now just buzz it around, weld it. Okay, now we gotta cut our tube. Have the chop saw set up, and no, we're not gonna use our diamond blade. That aluminum will gum it up. It's crazy, but you actually use a wood blade. Cut through it like butter. Yeah. Alright, now we gotta cut this thing off. I'm not really sure, again, how I'm gonna do this. See, this spins, and I don't want that to be in there when I weld it. So I think if I grind this round lip off back to the surface here, I think it will pop all of that off, and then I'll just have a flat thing to weld to my thing. The other thing, the stuff over there. Air saw, sawzall, we'll cut the bulk of it off, and then we'll grind it back. Or maybe a file. Ooh. File and aluminum is sometimes a lot better than even a grinder with aluminum. Okay, I figured it out. So that centerpiece that spun is the seat for the AN fitting. So it will come out this side. I don't know. I might leave it in because then it seals. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it in there. Alright, got that thing all sandblasted so I can actually weld it. I left the blue inside so you know where she's from. Yeah, weld it. Okay, so I got it bolted together, and this washer will kind of act as a little bit of a heat shrink, so that'll be good. The eagle-eyed viewers will notice that this is not very centered. It's kind of off. I'll just tell everybody that there's a reason, and I did it on purpose. You guys can know that I actually messed it up. Don't care. I'm going to weld it. I want to go racing. Alright, I don't actually know if this is necessary, but my brain's telling me to do it. I'm going to heat this up, the fitting up first. And my thoughts are it will, when I go to weld it, it won't take as much heat to start melting this, and the sheet metal might be spared because that's a lot thicker than the sheet metal, and I don't want to just burn through. Alright, we're tacked. I got one more on the other side, and fun fact about me, I very much dislike welding aluminum. Don't know what it is, just maybe don't have a lot of experience in it, other than maybe sheet metal, but I don't like it. Good enough. She's welded. It's still really hot. Oh my god. Aluminum heat. Almost messed up. Almost forgot to take that 12 and the washer. Oops. Didn't do it though. Didn't weld on the cap with the bolt in there. Alright, got the bottom cap welded in and the hole shut. So we're good. It's kind of cool. It'll look good buried in the next to the radiator anyways. Alright, so now we gotta mount it. How the hell are we gonna do that? You know what? I think I'm just gonna weld it to the side of the radiator. I'll do some small little welds so I can cut it off when I inevitably replace this one. So I'll pull the radiator out, give it a couple like 1-inch tacks on both sides. Boom, mounted. It's a nice little thing. All right, this will be super simple to locate. As long as I don't weld it upside down, it'll be good. While it was in the car, I marked it just like that, and it kind of self-locates. So line up that line. We'll just put a couple beads. It'll be good. The big thing is though, I want to make sure to really clean this really good. Really good. So I'll scuff it up with sandpaper and then clean it down with like acetone. Well, I was going to weld it on both sides, but you know what? That'll do just fine. So there it is. All ready to go back in the car. That'll work perfect. I'm going to put my hole in there so I can put my tube down in there. But there. Put that in there. And this guy, go right in there. It's a tight fit. Hell yeah. Alright. All back in, good and hooked up. I just so happen to like that quite a lot. Now, I'll make some brackets for the radiator.